Hey guys, so I want to do an update video on things that I've been learning since hiring my assistants. For those of you guys who are new to my channel, hello, my name is Jasmine and I'm so glad to have you. And in this video, I just kind of want to talk to you guys about some of the things I've learned and I've been learning and dealing with since hiring some assistants to help me with my online business. If you didn't know, I do have an OnlyFans business, and that's the online business that I started during COVID. It's completely changed my life, but I'm in the era of scaling. So after COVID, or during COVID, is when I made the most money I could have ever imagined, but that's because the economy was just booming, right? People were spending money left and right. People were getting unemployment. People were just a crazy time. Everybody had money during COVID, right? But since COVID, the economy kind of tightened up and people aren't necessarily spending like they used to. And so I was trying to figure out how to grow my OnlyFans business, but I was struggling for several years. And as a result, I stayed stagnant. But this year in 2026, I've been doing things differently and it's been working. I've been making more money. I'm getting back to my COVID numbers and I'm so excited about it. One of the things that I decided to implement this past month, or I started in June, is hiring assistants. One of the first lessons that I learned is I can't do everything by myself forever. I've been a one-woman show for a really long time. And yes, you do need a hustle, especially when you first start your business. You are going to be doing everything yourself because if you're anything like me, you just really don't have money to hire people to help you, especially when you're first getting started, right? You may not be making that many sales. You may not necessarily know what you're doing. You may not even really understand how to convert people from social media into purchasing whatever it is that you're selling. Maybe you have a subscription base like a Skool or Patreon or whatever, right? So for the first few months or even first couple of years, you might be a one-woman show. But as you do start gaining traction, you do have to learn how to delegate because you cannot do everything yourself. And also, too, you will burn out. I've burned out numerous times since having an online business, and I've been in business now for 6 years. You're going to burn out. Okay? At some point, you are going to get to a point where you just don't have the energy to keep giving it 1,000% every single day, right? You're making money, but you can't give it 1,000%. Instead of you pocketing that money and maybe upping your lifestyle, which are things that I did, you live and you learn, you need to hire help. Okay, you got to hire people to help you. And that's one of the very first things that I did starting this year was I hired people to help me. This year, I locked in on creating more content than I've ever created to drive traffic to my OnlyFans, but also utilizing all platforms, but making multiple accounts on each platform. Okay, so I have multiple Twitters. I have multiple TikToks. I have multiple Instagrams, multiple YouTube channels, multiple Facebooks, multiple. Okay, multiple. I cannot post on all of these platforms all by myself. I've been doing it and it's draining, and I started to fall short on the amount of posting because I just wasn't physically capable of posting all day on all of these platforms for weeks upon weeks upon weeks. So one of the very first things that I did was I hired an assistant to help me post. So I put all of my content into different Google Drives and, I train them, I have SOPs, and it is their job to pull the file from whichever designated Google Drive and then post and schedule on my behalf on Facebook. You can schedule on Twitter, you can schedule on Instagram, you can schedule. That has been helping me significantly. One of the lessons that I learned while doing that is I have to let go of control. Something that was preventing me from hiring people before, not that they didn't have the money to, was really also too because I just like control. I like to be in control of everything when it comes to my business. My business is my baby, okay? I built it from the ground up. Of course, I want full control. But in the process of having full control of your business, you lose control of your life, okay? Life is give and take. And I was losing control of my life because my business was controlling me because I couldn't let go of control. As a CEO, it is your duty to hire help that one you think can help you. You have to learn how to vet and how to interview, of course. But once you train them, you have to allow them to do what you train them to do. I never liked being micromanaged, especially when I worked that 9 to 5 that I hated. I hated being micromanaged. And I knew that when I started getting help, I didn't want to micromanage people. Okay? I just don't want to do that. So therefore, that's going to require me to excel in training people, right? So that I don't have to micromanage them, which ultimately it falls on me. I have to learn how to be a really good leader so that I can lead my team, so they don't have to micromanage, and so they can make decisions based off of what they know I want for my business, right? So that was the very first thing that I learned. The next thing that I learned is systems beat hustle. Okay. I am a hustler. I've always been a hustler. Okay, anything that Jasmine wants, she goes and she gets. Okay, if anyone knows me personally, they know that is true. If I come up with an idea, best believe in 2 hours, I'm going to have everything that needs to be done for this idea that I came up with. I'm a hustler. But you have to have systems. You have to have like a step by step. And see, when I first started entrepreneurship, I didn't really understand what people were talking about when they say, oh, you need systems, you need systems. Like, what does that even mean? Like, it used to be so vague and I didn't fully understand what it meant. Let me break it down. You need systems, meaning you need a step-by-step playbook for how your business operates. So, from how do you acquire your customers, to what happens to that customer once they subscribe, to what happens after they make their first purchase, to what happens during this. How do you acquire customers? Do you buy ads? Do you post? How often do you post? What kind of content do you post? How many times a day do you post? Like, you have to have a systematic flow chart of what happens every single step of the way in your business. And it has to be documented. So that way, when someone comes in to help you with your business, like assistants, they know the exact flow of the business and they are starting to understand how your business operates. People cannot help you if you don't have SOPs, standards of procedures, right? And that was something that my business was lacking, which is crazy because when you have any job, there are SOPs. You may not know where they are at, right? I've had plenty of jobs where they'd be like, you didn't read the SOP. And I'm like, what SOP? Where is the SOP room? But somewhere in the building, there are SOPs, right? The same applies to your business. You have to have standards of procedures, and then you have to go over those standards of procedures with your assistant so they fully understand what it is they're doing. Not just what it is that they're doing, but how to do it to your standards so that it can still run, they can still do things, even if you're not around. By having systems and by having a team, this is what's going to allow you to step away from your business, to go on vacation, to spend time with your family, to take time for yourself, and your business can still flow and make money without you physically being present. This is all new territory to me. For the longest time, every single day, even to this day, I've always worked on my business. I haven't had a day off. But I do see a life where I spend time with my family and my children at some point when I have them. And I don't have to worry about if my business is making money because I have a team that's going to do what they need to do so that I can still make money even when I'm not around, right? The next thing that I learned while hiring assistants is my time is valuable. And I kind of already understood that. There were certain conveniences that I started putting in place in my life so that I could spend more time on my business. For instance, I Instacart, so I don't have to go to the grocery store. I do go to the grocery store when I'm on my walks. Y'all know I love to walk, so I will pick up some things. But like most of my grocery shopping, I Instacart. I also have housekeepers who come. They're coming today because in my mind, I'm like, well, why would I clean and spend an hour or two cleaning when I could spend an hour or two working on my business, whether that's creating content, responding to messages, just whatever it is I have to do for my business. So I've already started kind of allocating different things so that I can spend all of my energy on my business. One thing that I learned with running a business is certain things within your business don't necessarily require you. in order for your business to function. Okay. I don't have to be the person scheduling the content in order for the content to perform, right? I don't have to be the person scheduling the posts for my OnlyFans or for Twitter or for Facebook or for YouTube in order for the content to get posted. I don't have to be the person physically doing the bookkeeping so that I can keep track of the numbers for my business. These are things that can be allocated to different people. And instead of me spending time doing those things, which, it drives the business forward, yes, but it doesn't require me. Instead of me spending time doing that, I could be spending time doing the thing that actually drives the money, which is content. I am the face of my brand. So, in order for me to scale my brand, I need to create more content so that more content can be pushed out. But I don't have to be the person actually scheduling it to get it pushed out. My time is very valuable. And I learned that mainly this year. I knew that content was an essential part of a business, any business. But I didn't realize how much content has to be produced in order to significantly increase sales within your business. I didn't learn that till this year. I know that's crazy. Some lessons, it's like once you learn something and it clicks, you're like, wow, why didn't I think of this 4 years ago? Where was my mind at 3 years ago, right? Like, why did I not know that? And that's why I say entrepreneurship is a self-development journey as well, because you learn. It's like you get all this information, but a lot of times it just doesn't connect. It's like you wake up one day and you have an epiphany, and then it all connects randomly. 6 years down the line, make it make sense. But I learned how valuable my time is. So because I fully understand that concept today, I make sure that the things that necessarily don't really need me to do, I allocate to other people. And so that I can spend all of my time on creating content and also learning how to be a better leader so that I can hire more people, train them appropriately, so that eventually I can get to a point where I can take 2 months off, 6 months off from my business, and it's still making money, it's still growing, but I can be living my life, right? Another lesson that I learned in not building a business, but hiring people is learning how to interview people. That's new territory for me. Sometimes people, they present themselves a certain way in an interview, and I'm guilty of this too. I done finessed multiple resumes, okay? I was a finesse queen. I know, I get it. You have to learn how to hire the right people for your team. You have to learn how to hire people who will, first of all, no one is going to care more about your business than you, okay? If you don't understand that, you are in la la land somewhere. That's number one. No one is going to care more about your business than you. And it doesn't matter how much you pay them. It doesn't matter because it's not theirs, right? So that's number one. You have to accept that. I've accepted that. Nobody's going to care more about my business than me. That's just the way it is. That's life. But you do have to learn how to interview people and how to ask particular questions to figure out what kind of person this is, so that you know that they will go above and beyond for their job, or they will think without you having to think for them, or they will come up with ideas that you didn't necessarily think about that's going to help you make your business better, right? And that comes through trial and error. The first few interviews that you do, you might hire someone and you think it's going to work, and then after 30 days you're like, yeah, this isn't the candidate that I thought she was. We're going to have to go a different route, right? That takes skill, which is something that I'm spending a lot of time learning about now that I'm not spending so much time doing administrative stuff. Just learning how to be a better leader, learning how to find better talent, and then also learning how to create SOPs, in a way that, one, is easy to understand, but two, still allows people to, think for themselves and come up with ideas and not be afraid to share those ideas with me to help me just be a better CEO and run a better business. So it's so many things that I've learned in this 4 weeks. I'm excited. I'm definitely seeing the growth. It has taken so much off of my plate for sure. I have a total of 4 assistants now. I have multiple OnlyFans pages. And this is something else that I learned. I didn't realize how much work I do until I started outlining it for other people. It's like when you start writing it down and you see this long list, you're like, oh shit. I do a lot. This is a lot of work. One thing I learned too is how to delegate so that people do not feel overworked. I have a total of 3 OnlyFans pages. So before, because I've tried to hire assistants before, but it just never worked out. And so I was like, you know what, I'll just do it myself. If you want it done a certain way, do it yourself. So it never worked out. But one thing that I realized this year, this go around with hiring people, is each person runs one of the pages. Before I would try to have one person run all, and it just didn't work out. And that's my fault because I just didn't know how to delegate properly. Now I have an assistant. Each assistant runs that one page. That is their job, that one page, right? I then also have assistants that run different Facebooks. So instead of having one assistant run all the Facebooks, she's responsible for one Facebook. Instead of an assistant running all the YouTubes, they're responsible for that one YouTube, if that makes sense, right? That way, that's their project, that's theirs. If something happens, I know who did what. It's all about delegating. It's all about organization. It's all about communication. Something that I do plan on doing in the near future. I can't say when, but I am going to end up, my goal is to hire managers. And so the manager will be responsible for making sure that the assistants that I've hired are doing what they're supposed to do. And then I communicate with the managers. So my assistants communicate with the managers, and then my managers communicate with me. So just some things that I'm working on. I'm so excited. I think I'm finally on the right path. I think I finally have cracked the code. I love making these videos and updating you guys, and I'm not afraid to share, what worked, what didn't. I might come back 4 months from now and be like, yeah, that didn't work. Let me go back to the drawing board and figure something else out. But that's the part of building a business. Leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. I can't wait to read what you have to say. Also, you guys, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. The link is down below in my description, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.